Very good morning to all. Hope you all are fine and healthy there, wherever you are, and you had a great weekend as well as a good and a very enjoyable festival. So, we already started with transaction processing unit number 7 in the previous 2 weeks, and in the last week's lecture, we have started with mainly concurrency control, right? So how many of I would like to know that how many of you have already gone through the topics from the PPT? The PPT was uploaded on the e-content. So how many of you have referred the PPT? Anyone who have referred the PPT? No one has referred the PPT. That's quite strange. Okay, so give me the answer for this question. What do you mean by concurrency control? I want the answer of what do you mean by concurrency control? Anyone from you can give the answer for this. What do you mean by concurrency control? Managing of more than two transactions at a same time. Okay, that's great. What are the two different types of locks are used in concurrency control? Two different types of locks that we use to manage the concurrent execution of transactions: S lock and X lock. So S lock is for reading, that is shared lock. You can only read or access the data. X lock means you can read as well as write. That means you can access as well as modify the data or database, right? So great. It's good if you are able to remember and recall all these things. Fine. Other than this, we have seen that the two-phase lock protocol, that means how the lock protocol actually works while managing the concurrent execution of the transactions, right? So let's go through it very quickly. Okay, so let me share my screen and we shall see all of them very quickly. Fine. So we said that concurrency control is managing more than two transactions without conflicts. It mainly uses two types of locks, that is exclusive lock and shared lock, read and write, and only read, right? Then we have seen that whatever locks are being acquired by the transaction, those locks must be released using this command, so that other transaction can use that same lock on the same particular data item, right? Then we can say that in the initial phase the transaction will request for all types of locks, right? Once the locks are acquired, it will perform its execution, and once the execution is done, it will release all the types of locks so that other transaction can use it. So this is what lock based protocol is. Then we are not going for these terms because we are going to see these terms later on again. Then we have two-phase lock protocol. We are having two phases. First phase is growing phase. In growing phase, a transaction will be able to obtain all the locks, right? And it will not be able to release any locks. Similarly, we have shrinking phase. In shrinking phase, a transaction will be able to release all the locks, but it will not be able to obtain any more locks. So this is what growing phase and shrinking phase of two-phase lock protocol is. The reason why we are following this particular lock base or growing phase or shrinking phase is we are mainly concerned with managing and serializing a particular transactions. So you can convert a particular lock to any particular lock, but mainly you can convert only S lock to X lock. You cannot convert X lock to S lock, because in X lock already it is reading. So you cannot convert the read and write lock to read lock only. You can convert read lock to read and write lock, but you cannot convert read write lock to read lock, right? So you cannot convert X lock to S lock. Similarly, in shrinking phase, you will release all the locks. If you have converted any particular lock, then you will again convert that lock to its initial stage and then you will release it. So if you have converted lock S to lock X, then first you will convert lock X to lock S and then you will release that particular lock. Right, so we are having two types of two-phase locks are of two types: strict two-phase and rigorous two-phase. Can anyone tell me what is strict two-phase locking? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by strict two-phase locking? What do you mean by strict two-phase locking? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by strict two-phase locking? Strict two-phase locking means a transaction can release all the shared locks in between the transaction. That means a transaction can release all the shared locks once its execution is done, or even when the transaction is being executed, but it cannot release the X lock, that means exclusive lock, in between, but it can only release exclusive lock once a transaction executes commit command. So that is what strict two-phase locking is. It means that a transaction can release all the locks in between, but only locks will be shared locks. It cannot release exclusive lock in between, but it can only release exclusive lock after the transaction has committed. Right, so that is what strict lock is. And rigorous lock means a transaction is not allowed to release any type of locks in between. It can release the locks only after the transaction is committed. So difference between strict and rigorous is, in strict you can release shared lock in between, but in rigorous you cannot release any type of locks until and unless the transaction is committed. So this is what strict and rigorous two-phase locking is. Right, so a transaction may release all shared locks in execution, but cannot release exclusive lock until and unless transaction is committed or aborted. Right, so none of the data is modified in between, and rigorous means none of the locks are allowed to release until and unless transaction is getting committed. So this is what two types of two-phase lock protocol is. Then we have intention locking. Intention locking means you are forcing some of the particular data items to be locked because some of the data items are locked by the transactions. So this is what the example is. If I am locking a page 2, right, then I have to intentionally lock all these items, you can see, because they are the dependents of page 2. So this is what intention locking is, or multiple granularity is. If a parent has been locked by some transaction, intentionally or forcefully all its children will be locked by default. Right, but so if I am again locking a database here, then all the child of this database will be locked intentionally or forcefully. So this is what the multiple granularity or intention locking is. Right, So if a lock is acquired on a parent, automatically all children are locked. So if page 2 has been locked by any of the transaction, then all its children will be logged automatically. And if a transaction requests any particular I would say any particular child, let us say a transaction is requesting this particular lock on this field 1, so it will check whether any of the parent of this particular item is logged or not. So it will check whether record 1 or page 2 or file 2 or database has been logged by any other transaction or not. So it will check if the child node is being asked, it will check whether any parent has been logged or not. So this is what multiple granularity is, right? Then we have implementing locks. So locks are mainly implemented or managed by lock manager. It will either give you lock granted or wait message depending on the availability of the resource, and everything is managed or all the data is managed under lock table, and lock table looks like this, where the dark ones are already granted locks and only square boxes are the waiting locks or the transactions waiting for that particular lock, right? So this is what the lock management is, and we stopped at this particular point, that is timestamp based protocol. So we are going to start from here, timestamp based protocol. Till here, is there anyone who is having any doubt on this particular part? Anyone is having any doubt in this? Till here, is there any doubt if you refer the PPT? Fine, so let's move ahead with the timestamp based protocol. So what does this timestamp based protocol say? It says that each transaction is issued a timestamp. That means one time has been given to each transaction that you can work till this particular time when it enters the system. So each transaction has been given a time slot that you can work on till this particular time for your particular operations. And all transaction T1 has a timestamp TS of T1, and new transaction has timestamp as TS of T2, and following condition must be satisfied in timestamp based protocol. The condition is old transaction timestamp will be less than the new transactions timestamp. That is for sure. You can see here in this example that timestamp of T1, that is the older transaction, is 2, and timestamp of newer transaction is 5. So the condition is TS of T1 less than TS of T2. So this condition is always right, and it should be right if you want to implement this timestamp based protocol. That means old transaction timestamp will be less than the timestamp of the new transaction. This is the rule that will be followed by each and every transaction or transaction manager if you want to implement timestamp based protocol, right? So you can say, in short, old transaction was given a time slot that you can work till 2 p.m. and new transaction was given a time slot that you start working at 5 p.m. Just assume like that. So 2 p.m. is less than 5 p.m. right? So older transaction was able to work till 2 p.m. and newer transaction was asked to start working from 5 p.m. So this is what the timestamp based protocol is. Each and every transaction is given some time slot to start its work and end its work. This is what timestamp based protocol works. So transaction with older timestamps will always be given a priority, right? So whatever transaction you have, the transaction with lower timestamp will always be given a priority. That is what timestamp based protocol wants to say. A transaction with older timestamp will be given a priority. So the protocol manages concurrent execution such that read and write operations are executed in a timestamp order, right? So whoever transaction is having older timestamp will be given the priority, and based on that the read and write operations will be executed, right? It will not say like that the write operation will be given the first priority. No, it will always dependent on the timestamp, what time has been allocated to the transaction. Based on that timestamp only all the tasks will be done, right? So the protocol maintains for each data item two types of timestamp values, the W timestamp and R timestamp. That means W means write timestamp and R means read timestamp. Sorry guys, just bear with my voice because I think my vocal is not proper, but still I am trying to speak as much loud as it is possible. So just bear with my voice, okay? Right, so what it says, the timestamp protocol mainly contains two types of timestamp values, either the read timestamp or the write timestamp. Now what actually it is, the write timestamp is the largest timestamp provided by the lock manager to a particular transaction to write any particular data item. So let me take an example here, that you were given a transaction was given a largest timestamp to write a particular data item was 0005. That means that is the largest time, that till by this time you should finish your write operation. Till that time you should finish your writing operation. Similarly, read timestamp, that means the largest value given by the manager for a particular transaction to read a data item. That means let us say 0003. That means you have been given a timestamp that by that 0003 you should complete your read operation. So this is what a timestamp based protocol will manage, right? It will have two types of logs. It will either have W timestamp or it will have R timestamp. W timestamp will have the timestamp that has been given to a transaction for writing a particular data item, and R timestamp means a largest time given to a transaction for reading a particular data item, right? So am I clear with this? Am I clear with this? So just remember that ગુજરાતીમાં કહીએ તો એવું યાદ રાખવાનું છે that each transaction will be given one particular time slot. એક time slot આપેલો હશે, એ time slotમાં દરેક ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શને કામ કરવાનું થશે. જો એ ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન ન પૂરું કરી શકે તો ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન અબોર્ટ થઈ જશે, નવો ટાઈમ સ્ટેમ્પ એને મળશે નહીં. So if a transaction wants to write or update anything, it will be given W timestamp. If a transaction wants to read anything, it will be given R timestamp. That is what you should remember, right? Is this clear? Is this clear, everyone? Okay, so let's take an example, very quick example of it. Suppose a transaction T1 issues a read queue. That means transaction T1 wants to read a particular data item Q. So this is the condition. If TS of T1, that is timestamp of T1, is less than or equals to W timestamp of Q, then the read operation is rejected. What it says, T1 wants to read and a transaction is already having a W timestamp with it, right? So let us say that TS of T1 is 0002 and W timestamp is 8. So 8 is already greater than 2, right? So does this condition is this condition true, that TS of T1 less than or equals to W timestamp of Q? It means that you are already given that you can write your data till this particular hours. You can say 8 વાગ્યા સુધી તમે તમારો ડેટા રાઇટ કરી શકો છો, right? And in between the manager of the timestamp allocates 2 hours 0002 hours to read a particular data item. It means that 2 is less than this 8. So this condition is true. So એવું કહેવા માગે છે કે 8 વાગ્યા સુધી તમે લખો છો તો 2 વાગે તમે રીડ કરી શકો નહીં. So the read operation is indirectly rejected because write operation is already in execution. Write operation નો ટાઈમ લિમિટ શું છે? 8 વાગ્યા સુધી. સો 8 વાગ્યા સુધી કોઈ પણ ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન એને લખી શકે છે. તો બીજું ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન જ્યારે એને રીડ કરવા આવે છે 2 વાગે, તો એ 2 વાગે રીડ કરી નહીં શકે. શું કામે? because the write operation is already in execution. Clear with this? So this condition is true. So write operation is already in execution, so read will not be given any grant. Read will not be allowed to read a particular data item. A transaction will not be allowed to read a particular data item, right? So you just need to focus these conditions. Just try to remember these conditions. Don't go for the examples that I have written here. Just focus on the condition that if a transaction wants to read and you are already having a particular W timestamp, then if this condition is true, then a read operation will not be allowed. Secondly, same thing, if TS of T1 is greater than or equals to W timestamp, then read operation is executed as it is assumed that write operation is committed. Let us say TS of T1 is 0005 and W timestamp was 3. So 3 વાગ્યા સુધી W timestamp હતો, but you are given the timestamp of reading at 5 o'clock. So this is possible because at 3 o'clock all the task of write has been committed. We can assume that. So read operation is allowed. So this is what the two different conditions on read particular data item. You just need to remember these conditions. Don't go for these examples. Simply just remember that if the timestamp is less, yes, મારા બે બેઠા હતા પછી હું આવી ગયો અને લેક્ચર હતો ને પાછું એટલે ડિસ્ટર્બ થાય એ લોકો વાતો કરતા. હા, એક જ મિનિટ. જસ્ટ અ મોમેન્ટ સ્ટુડન્ટ, જસ્ટ અ મોમેન્ટ. ત્યાં તમારી આ સાઈડનું જે છે ને, આ સાઈડનું ટેબલ, ત્યાં સૌથી પહેલું પેજ જો બધી છે, એમાં આખું લિસ્ટ છે. તમે જોતા જાઓ કોનું આપણે થઈ ગયું છે, કોનું બાકી છે, તમને ખબર પડી જશે. એમાં છે. Yeah, as I was saying that you just need to remember that you need to focus on these conditions, read out these particular statements and check whether we can do or you can perform a operation or not. It is saying that, yeah, જો આનું ફર્સ્ટ પેજ કાઢવાનું પાછું એકવાર. એમાં જે ડેટા છે ને, ડેટાવાળું એક પહેલું પેજ બે કોપી કાઢી છે આપણે, એક કોપી ભૂલથી સ્ટેમ્પ મરાઈ ગયો છે. એટલે સ્કેન કોપી કાઢી મોકલી મેં, કાઢી નાખો. એની સિંગલ સાઇડેડ રિપોર્ટ કાઢવાના છે બધા 4.8.2 અને મંકોડીનો લિફલેટ મંગાવવાનું છે. LOR આવી ગયો, LOR પ્રિન્ટ કાઢી લેજો. એટલે હવે એ જોવું પડશે, તો મૂકી દો, બીજું શું થાય. જો સર એલ્યુમિનિયમ રિપોર્ટ શક્તિ સર આપવાના છે, આપણને રાહ જોવી પડશે એની. આ બ્લેન્ક સાઇન કાઢવાની છે. ના, હજી કાઢી નથી, જોવાનું છે. અમુકમાં સાઇન કરતી તો પછી બધા કાઢી નાખશો ને તો અડધા ઉપર ડેટા નીકળી જાય છે. સાહેબને પૂછવું પડશે. ફેકલ્ટી લિસ્ટ એને કાંઈ મોકલું આપણને, શક્તિએ જોઈ લેજો જરાક. પ્રિન્ટ હવે ખાલી તો બહુ ઓછા નહીં કાઢવાની છે, આપણે ડેટા જોઈએ છે બધો પહેલાં. એ શક્તિ આપણને મેલ કર્યો, બીજો ડેટા નથી આવ્યો. આ ફેકલ્ટી એલિમેન્ટની વાત કરું છું. એક જ મિનિટ પર. સ્ટુડન્ટ્સ જસ્ટ ગો થ્રુ ધીસ PPT once more and read and I will explain it later. હવે એમાં એવું છે, આ ફેક એને ડોક્યુમેન્ટ બનાવ્યું નથી હજુ સુધી શક્તિએ, એ ખાલી આપણને ડેટા શેર કરી દીધો સીધો.
અત્યારે સવારે ફોન કરીને 7 જણાનો જો અપોઇન્ટમેન્ટ લેટર મગાવ્યો તો ઈ ડેટા હે
હા.
હાલ ચારનો ડેટા આવ્યો
ચારનો ડેટા આવ્યો છે. આનું રજિસ્ટ્રેશન એને મોકલ્યું છે, પણ એને ગયા વખતે આપણને 2 ફાઇલ મોકલી હતી, આ વખતે ખાલી એક જ ફાઇલ મોકલી છે. એટલે કાંઈ જોવાનું છે કે કદાચ એવું બની શકે એને જે બીજી ફાઇલ મોકલી છે ને એમાં ખાલી સિક્વન્સિંગ પ્રોપર કરીને બે
ક્યાં મૂકવાનું હે
હા જ
ઓન બોર્ડમાં મૂકવાનું
ઓન બોર્ડમાં 2 આવશે અલગ અલગ.
બે અલગ અલગ હા ઓન બોર્ડમાં બે મૂકવાના છે
Sorry for the disturbance, students. Let us go with this example again. So what it says, see, simply remember one rule. We are trying to read a particular data item. Remember this thing. Now, one of the condition it says that if the transactions timestamp is less than or equals to the W timestamp, that means W timestamp is a maximum time till a transaction can write, other transaction can write, right? So what it says, W timestamp on this particular data item for some other transaction is 008. That means it can work till 8 hours or 8 timestamp. In between, if the other transaction is given a timestamp that is less than the available timestamp of W timestamp, then the read operation cannot be performed because the first transaction is already given a timestamp called 8 that is already larger than it. It means that the write operation is already being executed. So you cannot read a data because you will get inconsistent data if you try to read this particular data. So now go for the next condition. If TS of T1 is greater than or equals to W timestamp, that means if you want to read a data and your timestamp is greater than the write timestamp, let us take an example. The timestamp of the transaction to read is 5 and W timestamp is 3. It means that you are allowed to read because write is already completed at 3 o'clock. You can start reading at 5 o'clock because the write was completed at 3 o'clock. Here you can say that write was not completed till 8 o'clock and you were trying to read at 2 o'clock, then this is not possible because write operation is in execution. So this is the problem with read queue. Similarly, if you want to write a data and you already have read timestamp with you, right, then again let us take the example that a transaction is given some timestamp and that timestamp is less than or equals to the read timestamp. It means that TS of T1 is 2 and read timestamp of that particular data item is 008. Then what it says, TS of T1 is 2 and timestamp is already 8. So this condition is true. Then the write operation will be rejected because some transactions are already reading this particular data. So if you want to update the data, you need to wait till the transactions complete reading the data item. So the transaction will be rejected. So none of the transactions can interfere any of the operations. If some transaction is already reading, then you cannot write it. If some transaction is writing, you cannot read it. Just remember this thing. So that is why timestamp based protocol is very much useful, that it will not allow any other transactions to interfere in any of the other transactions works. Similarly, you can see here TS of T1 is greater than read timestamp, then it will allow to write, because let us say TS of T1 is 5 and read timestamp is 3. So it wants to write at 5 o'clock, but read is already completed at 3 o'clock. So it is allowing you to write a particular data item because it is assumed that read operation is already completed. So you have to just focus on what particular concept. The concept is none of the transactions will be allowed to work on same data item, either read or write, until and unless one of the transactions task is completed. It will make sure that once transaction task is fully completed, then and then other transaction will be allowed to perform its operation. You can see based on timestamp it is either rejecting the transactions request or it is allowing the transactions request. So this is what timestamp based protocol is, right? You have to just match the values of the timestamp and follow the conditions of read and write operations. Students, just go through this PPT once more, and if you have any doubts just raise it in the chat box or you can unmute yourself. I am waiting. I am giving you 2 minutes for this. You have to just focus on the conditions in exams also. In the first part here we are going for read operation, and the second part we are going for write operation. Yeah, any doubts? Anyone? Okay, let me just quickly revise this in Hindi so that it is quite clear with everyone. यहाँ पे ये क्या कह रहा है, ट्रांजेक्शन T1 उसको कुछ रीड करना है. कौन सा डेटा आइटम है? Q, राइट? सो व्हाट इट सेज, अगर उसको रीड करना है और उसके पास ऑलरेडी W टाइम स्टैम्प है. W टाइम स्टैम्प कौन सा है? 8 मीन्स इट मीन्स वो 8 बजे तक राइट कर सकता है. और हमने वो जो दूसरा ट्रांजेक्शन है उसको क्या कहा है, उसको 2 बजे रीड की परमिशन दी है. तो ये क्या कह रहा है कि अगर जो ट्रांजैक्शन जिसको रीड करना है उसका टाइम स्टैम्प अगर राइट टाइम स्टैम्प से कम है तो वो रीड नहीं कर पाएगा, क्योंकि W टाइम स्टैम्प ऑलरेडी तब तक वर्क कर रहा होगा. क्योंकि यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं W टाइम स्टैम्प का टाइम है 8 बजे तक. सो 8 बजे तक वो राइट कर सकता है, बट यहाँ पर उसको टाइम स्टैम्प दिया गया है रीड करने के लिए 2 बजे, बट वो 2 बजे रीड नहीं कर पाएगा क्योंकि 8 बजे तक ऑलरेडी राइट ऑपरेशंस चल रहा होगा. सो ऑटोमेटिकली ये ट्रांजैक्शन रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा. सिमिलरली ऐसा कहा गया है कि अगर जिसको रीड करना है उसका टाइम स्टैम्प जो राइट टाइम स्टैम्प से अगर बड़ा है तो वो रीड कर पाएगा, क्योंकि राइट ऑपरेशन उसके पहले ही ख़त्म हो गया होगा. यहाँ पे देख लीजिए एग्जांपल, W टाइम स्टैम्प का टाइम है 3 बजे तक और जो ट्रांजैक्शन जिसको रीड करना है उसका टाइम है 5 बजे. तो 5 बजे ऑलरेडी 3 बजे से ज़्यादा है. इट मीन्स वो एज्यूम कर रहा है कि 3 बजे राइट ऑपरेशन ख़त्म हो गया है और 5 बजे आप आराम से रीड कर सकते हैं, राइट? सो दिस इज़ द एग्जांपल ऑफ रीड. सिमिलरली फॉर राइट, किसी को राइट करना है, राइट? सो अगर उसका टाइम स्टैम्प जिसको राइट करना है उसका टाइम स्टैम्प रीड टाइम स्टैम्प से कम है तो अगेन उसको करने से राइट नहीं किया जाएगा, क्योंकि उसका रीड ऑपरेशन चल रहा है. यहाँ पे देखिए आर टाइम स्टैम्प क्या है, 8 बजे तक. सो अ ट्रांजैक्शन कैन राइट और रीड अ पर्टिकुलर डेटा आइटम टिल 8, राइट? टिल 8, 8 बजे तक कोई भी ट्रांजैक्शन उसको रीड कर सकता है. अगर किसी ट्रांजैक्शन को उसको राइट करना है और उसका टाइम स्टैम्प 2 है जो उससे कम है, तो ये एज्यूम कर रहा है कि भी 8 बजे तक कोई भी ट्रांजैक्शन रीड कर रहा है, तो उससे कम टाइम स्टैम्प में कोई भी ट्रांजैक्शन उसको राइट नहीं कर सकता, राइट? सो 2 उससे कम है तो 2 बजे वो उसे राइट नहीं कर पाएगा और ये ट्रांजैक्शन रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा. सिमिलरली अगर इस ट्रांजैक्शन का टाइम स्टैम्प रीड टाइम स्टैम्प से ज़्यादा है तो वो आराम से राइट कर पाएगा, क्योंकि रीड ऑपरेशन तब तक में ख़त्म हो गया होगा. यहाँ पे देखिए आर टाइम स्टैम्प, उसका टाइम स्टैम्प है 3, जिसमें 3 बजे तक, और 3 बजे तक अज्यूम कर रहे हैं कि रीड टाइम स्टैम्प 3 बजे ख़त्म हो जाएगा। बाद में अगर 5 बजे कोई ट्रांजैक्शन उसको राइट करना चाह रहा है तो उसके वो राइट करने देगा, क्योंकि आर का काम, आर टाइम स्टैम्प का समय ऑलरेडी ख़त्म हो चुका है, राइट। सो दिस इज़ व्हाट टाइम स्टैम्प बेस्ड protocol is. Am I clear with this, everyone? It is just a game of timings and playing with the transactions, making sure that it does not interfere any other transactions working. Is it clear, guys? Any doubts? See, it is, yes, it is just based on the assumptions, so you cannot say that what it, I have just written these values based on some assumptions. I can write here 3 and 3, 3 or 4, anything. So it is only just a part of example, nothing else. But actual timestamp based protocol will consider each and every micro level units of time. So you cannot say what it will actually go with. You cannot say what actually it will use. So it is already going to use the micro level time units. Yeah, any other doubts, anyone? Is this clear now, everyone? Or any doubts, anyone? Okay, so the concurrency control here ends, and the next topic is deadlock. Can anyone recall the definition of deadlock that we have already studied in previous lectures? What do you mean by deadlock? Can anyone give me a definition or some concept of deadlock? Can anyone tell me what is deadlock? So can anyone see the screen? Everyone can see the screen. Okay, now let me take it here. What is deadlock? Let me just teach here. What do you mean by deadlock? So let us say a car is moving in this direction. Just take a example. A car is moving. Just a moment, let me just try to increase the width of this. Let me just have this size. So assume that a car is moving in this direction. Similarly, at the same time, it is a one way. Just remember, it is a one way. And here it is a circle. Right? So this is the point it wants to reach. At the same time, other car comes in between and stops its route. So it is stopping here. It is not able to reach this particular data item. At the same time, some other car comes and stops it here. So what actually it is? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by this scenario? What do you mean by this scenario? What this will result into? What this scenario will result into? What this scenario will result into? Blocking the car, or we can say a traffic jam. That means here it is a jam, here it is a jam, and here also it is a jam. No car is going to move anywhere. This car wants to move in this direction. This car also wants to move in this direction, and this car is already moving in this forward direction, but none of the cars is able to move in any of the direction because here it is a jam. So this condition is known as deadlock, or we can call it as traffic jam, but traffic jam in terms of database we call it as deadlock. So this is what a deadlock is. That means none of the components will be able to perform its task. None of the components will be able to perform its task, because maybe it is acquired by some other component. We can say that if this particular car, if this car wants to move in this direction, but that direction is already occupied by this car. Similarly, if this car wants to move to this particular direction, then that path has been occupied by this particular car. And if this wants to move here, then again it is occupied by some other component, right? So this is what a traffic jam is, and a traffic jam can be called or can be referred in database as deadlock. Clear with the idea, everyone? What actually it wants to say? Is this clear? Or any doubts? Let us say here car 1, car 2 and car 3. Now car 1 wants to move in this direction. Car 2 wants to move in this direction, and car 3 wants to move in this direction. But this path has, because C3 is already stopping C1 to move ahead, C1 is stopping C2 to move ahead, and C2 is stopping C3 to move ahead. So it ultimately means that none of their cars can move in their own directions, the directions they want to move. And this particular scenario is called deadlock. Clear with this, guys? The concept, the deadlock concept. Any doubts in this concept? Anyone? Then we'll go to the PPT. Fine. So let's see the PPT now. What it says. So deadlock. A deadlock is a situation in which one transaction is waiting for the other transaction to release the resource. So what it says, let us say here T1, T2, and this is a resource, let us say, and T2 is already acquiring and using this particular resource, and T1 wants this particular resource to use. So what it says, a deadlock is a situation in which one transaction is waiting for other transaction to release the resource. So T2 is already using this resource, T1 is willing to use this particular resource, so it is waiting for T2 to release this particular resource. So until and unless this particular T2 releases this particular resource, T1 won't be allowed to perform its operation. So this is a deadlock. What? Because it is waiting for this resource which is already being occupied and used by T2. So this is what deadlock is. Clear with this? What do you mean by deadlock in database now? A transaction waiting for some other transaction to release a particular lock or resources. So let there be a set of transactions T1, T2, T3 such that T1 is waiting for T2, T2 is waiting for T3, and T3 is waiting for T1. So what it says, let us say a data item A, a data item B, and a data item C, and T1 is already holding this one, T2 is already holding this 2, this B, and T3 is holding this C. Now what it says, T1 is holding A but it wants B, T2 is already holding B but it wants C, and T3 is already holding C but it wants A. So again you can see T1 is having A but it wants B, already held by T2. T2 is holding B, it wants C, held by T3, and T3 is holding C and is willing to have A but already held by T1. So each of the transactions are in waiting position for some others transactions resource, right? So this is what a deadlock is. None of the transaction will be able to perform its operations. Clear with this diagram, everyone? Clear with this diagram? Any doubts? Any doubts in this? Anyone? So let's see. Here each transaction is waiting for some other transaction. Hence no transaction will work smoothly, right? Here T1 is waiting for B, that is T2. T2 is waiting for C, that is T3, and T3 is waiting for A, that is T1. So none of the transactions will be working smoothly, or none of the transactions will progress. Clear with this, everyone? Clear with this, everyone? Any doubts in this? Anyone? Any doubts in this? Then can anyone tell me what can be the possible solution for this? How to resolve this problem? How to resolve this problem? Can anyone tell me? Can you tell me what could be the solution for this? I am drawing the same thing here. Take this example. C1, C2, C3 are the transactions, and we need to solve this particular problem. Exactly, we need to abort one or more than one transactions. We need to forcefully ask some of the transactions to abort or roll back. That means you need to go back to some initial stage so that one of the transaction can complete and you can get their resource. So let us see what can be the solution of it. So the possible solution of this particular problem can be transaction being rolled back to its initial state every time and come again to check whether the resource is available or not. So what it will do, here it is A, let us say, just a moment. Yeah, so here it is A, here it is B, and here it is C. A is held by T1, B is held by T2, and C is held by T3. So A is willing to have B, B is willing to have C, and C is willing to have A. So what it says, solution, one of the transaction must be rolled back. So either I will roll back C, that means I will roll back transaction T3 so that B can acquire C resource, or I will roll back T2 so that T1 can acquire resource B. So this is what the only possible solution is. Either roll back T2, or either roll back T3, or roll back T1. So you need to roll back the transaction so that the resource can be released and the other person dependent on that, the other person or other transaction dependent on that particular resource can perform its task. So that is the only possible solution of this particular scenario. Clear with this? You need to roll back or ask the particular transaction to either abort or roll back. Clear with this? Any doubts in this? Anyone? Either you will ask the transaction to abort or you will ask the transaction to roll back. Okay, then let's move ahead. So now how to detect a deadlock? How to detect a deadlock? So if you want to detect a deadlock, there are 4 conditions that should be satisfied. All 4 conditions must be satisfied together, right? If one of the condition is not satisfied and other condition is satisfied, it is not a deadlock. If you want to say that this scenario is a deadlock, it means the 4 conditions that I'm going to discuss it, that 4 conditions must be satisfying together. right? What is the first condition? Mutual exclusion. It means that one process to work at a time. If any other process requests the same process, it will wait till the first release it. That means one process is waiting for some other process to complete its task and release a particular resource. But at one time, only one process or one transaction will work at a time. If other transaction wants the same resource, then it will wait for the transaction already working on that resource to release that particular resource. So that is what mutual exclusion is. Then second is hold and wait. So one transaction holds one resource and keeps other transactions in waiting stage. That means it will not say that you wait, it will not ask a transaction to roll back or abort, but it will keep the transactions in the waiting stage always. So it will be again a deadlock. Then comes non-preemption. So process can release the resource only when the transaction has completed its particular task. So transaction can release a particular resource only when it has completed its task. No other transaction can force or forcefully acquire a particular resource from the transaction. You have to wait. You cannot forcefully acquire any resources from other transaction. That is what non-preemption is, right? It will release the resources only when the task is completed. It cannot, or other transaction cannot forcefully acquire the resource that is already available with some other transaction. That is non-preemption. And last is circular wait. Circular wait means one transaction is waiting for some other transaction is waiting for some other transaction, and that some other transaction is waiting for the first transaction. The cycle that we already studied in the deadlock theory, right? So if it is creating some type of cycle, then again it will be a deadlock, right? So just go through this definition, students, once more.
આ પ્રિન્ટ કાઢ નાખી, આની પ્રિન્ટ કાઢ નાખી. આ LOR મિક્સ છે 3 3 4 4. આની પ્રિન્ટ કાઢવી છે કે સોફ્ટ કોપીમાં રાખવી છે? સાહેબે શું કીધું?
સાહેબ પ્રિન્ટ કીધી જ છે.
પ્રિન્ટ કીધી છે, પણ આ એલ્યુમિનીનો એનો જેટલો ડેટા રહ્યો ને બધો મિસમેચ થાય છે. શું કરશું?
શક્તિને જ પૂછો ને તો કે આમાં શું કરવું. તે મને 4 અને 9 જે આપ્યો તો એ 4 અને 9નો પ્રૂફ તો મને આપ. શક્તિને જ કહ્યું સાહેબ બેસ્ટ ઓપ્શન છે. Right, so any doubts in this? We will go through these definitions again, don't worry, but tomorrow, because I don't have any time to discuss these definitions again. So what we'll do, we are ending our lecture right now here, right, and we will start with the deadlock topic again tomorrow only, so that it is quite clear. But what I am requesting everyone is to just complete all the revision part of the PPT, from the PPT till concurrency control, till deadlock. Just go through it once, so that if you have any doubts we can clear it tomorrow, right? Because deadlock is mainly dependent on concurrency control and transaction management. So if you have any doubts in these particular parts, we can clear it tomorrow before starting our lecture. We will see deadlock tomorrow completely. Fine, so we are ending our lecture. Fine, so let's end this lecture and we will see the deadlock part tomorrow completely.